Hey everybody, it's David Carolina Luthier, and here today getting ready to do some pretty serious work on this very nice classic guitar. This is about as good as it gets. This is a 1966 Martin D-28 in really good shape, except for one thing. The strings are a little high. This is in serious need of a neck reset, which scares a lot of people. That's something you hear a lot of people haven't done. It seems like major guitar surgery, but it's something just about every vintage guitar is going to need at some point in its lifetime, because as they age, the wood changes. The wood continues to dry out, and string tension is pulling everything up. So strings always get higher over time, not lower. And you can shave down the saddle to an extent. Some people will shave the bridge down, although that's not recommended, especially on nice vintage guitars. Eventually you'll get to a point where you ain't got no saddle sticking out, and the only thing you can do is reset the angle of the neck. And so this neck is actually going to have to come out of this guitar. Because although I was able to play a little bit there, I couldn't play anything very intricate, and it gets pretty painful to play up in the upper register on this guitar. So we want to remove this neck, recut the heel, and glue it back down. This is something you wouldn't want to attempt yourself. It's something that really should be left to a luthier, but it's not as scary as it sounds. This is something that just about any guitar of this age is probably going to need. So I'm going to show you how that process is done. This probably won't be as long as my last series of videos where I constructed the banjo neck. This will probably be only a couple of videos. I might even squeeze it into one, but let's go ahead and get started on it. Okay, now we got the strings off. We've also removed this fret here, and I'll get to why in just a second. The first thing I like to do when I do any major repairs on a guitar, I like to go through it and make sure everything is solid. There's no other major issues that we're going to have to deal with. So I always like to stick my hand inside, check every single brace, feel for any that are loose, it's moving. Solid. Stick a mirror inside. Look at the bridge plate. Looks to be in really good shape. And as you can see, I removed this fret here, because this is the first step in doing a neck reset, and I wanted to see if a neck reset had been done before. This fret is positioned directly over the dovetail joint, or pretty close to it. So you remove this fret and drill a hole in this slot where we get heat down into the dovetail joint to get the neck apart. I don't see a hole, so I don't believe that anyone else is taking this neck off. I do see a little bit of glue right here, but after talking to the owner, I believe he just seen a gap and squirted a little bit of glue under there. This is pretty much a single owner guitar. The guy who brought it in is the son of the man who bought it, so I know this guitar's history better than you would most. So the neck has never been off. Somebody just put a little bit of glue under here, which complicates things slightly, but it's not bad. I have seen ones that have been redone where people would actually put a dowel through it because they couldn't get their glue to hold. They hide it with a strap button. So I'm going to take this off. I don't think anything like that's been done because the neck's never actually been took out, but I want to make sure. The only other issue I really see with this guitar is pretty much common to all Martins of this era. We have a pickguard that is shrinking. Edges have curled up a little bit, and this actually caused a crack in the top right here. So we're going to go ahead and replace this pick guard while we're at it and glue this crack. Other than that, this is a pretty solid guitar. The bridge appears to have been removed at some point. It was re-glued. Not the cleanest job in the world, but not horrible. And it seems to be solid, so we're not going to mess with that. So now we just have to drill our hole and work on getting this neck off. Alright, our first step here, doing neck reset, we got to get the old neck off. Well, we'll put this neck back on, but we're going to get the neck off. So, first thing we have to do is we have to separate this extension on the end of the fretboard from the top. This is glued to the top. Now right now I have a block of steel that I've heated on a hot plate. Gets to 250 degrees. Been sitting on there for a couple minutes, and that'll soften the glue. A lot of nice instruments are constructed with high glue because it's easy to melt. So we'll take this off. We'll take our palette knife here, which will also heat a little bit, and we'll work it up underneath here. And we'll separate the fretboard from the top of the guitar. It should go fairly easy if you have it hot enough. Use painter's tape to protect the top. You still got to be very careful. It's very easy to put a dent on the top. It's spruce, it's softwood. It doesn't take a whole lot to put a dent in it. Starting to get hard to do. I think we need to add some more heat to it. This will take a few minutes. We'll repeat this process several times. It starts to get hard. We have to heat our block back up, add a little more heat to it. So we'll go and stop the tape and come back and get this separated. Okay, now we got the fretboard separated from the top. Also around with my palette knife, get some of this glue, put it in to fill the gap. Kind of keep that from being connected to the sides before we finish. Now we're going to drill a hole in this fret slot so we can apply heat to the dovetail joint itself. Small pilot bit. Now I do it slightly offset. Don't hit any sort of truss rods. These don't have adjustable truss rods. A fixed truss rod usually stops before the dovetail, but just to be certain, I like to be slightly offset. Just a little bit off center, and come in at an angle, kind of following the shape of the dovetail. I feel it drop. I feel the gap. Okay, there's an air gap in that dovetail. I want to hit that, and that's just the pilot bit, the starter. Bit. This will take us all the way down. This hole is slightly larger than the fret, but we will plug it, and that with the fret covering will hide it. You won't be able to tell there's ever a hole there once we're done. Now we got that done. We'll clamp this in a jig, apply heat to this, and we'll get this neck off. Alright, you can see here, we have our guitar set up with our neck reset jig. It just supports the body, puts pressure upward on the heel, won't push the neck outward. We have here what we call our heat stick. A big copper rod on the end of a soldering iron. The traditional method is actually to inject steam into this hole, but that also risks the steam damaging the finish around the neck. And also this just seems to do better with, especially ones that are been done before or use the wrong glue. This just is a better method, in my opinion. So I've had this on here for a good 10-15 minutes. And so I put a drop of water down in here to help with heat transfer, and the water come all the way out the bottom. So we have broken glue joints. All that's left now, we'll pull this out. We'll tighten the screw on the bottom of our jig here. This will put pressure upward on the heel, and we'll break it free. And it should slide right out. Let's get this out of the way. Move our block in the body. Take a wrench, and we'll tighten this screw until this thing breaks free. Already see it moving. The gap under the end of the fretboard getting bigger. Eventually, this will reach a point where it just comes loose. I believe we are there. There it is. That'll do it. Alright, as you can see here, we now have the neck off. Came off clean with no damage to the finish whatsoever. You see here on the neck. So the next thing we have to do, we're going to have to clean all this old glue off. And then we'll recut this angle so we have a proper neck angle, gives us a good string height, gives us a good action. Then we'll make some new shims, we'll glue it all back together. So we'll do that next time. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss this or anything else I do.